All right. And then I also feel you're behind the scenes looking on. Okay. And I keep hearing, I told you so. I told you so. But you're not going to say it. You're not going to gloat. You're not going to rub it in your face. You're in this space where you are protected in shelter. And whatever the effects of this tower situation is happening, the tower is very cataclysmic, right? It's things breaking down and crumbling to the ground. So it's going to leave like a dust cloud in its midst, right? And what I see here is you're protected from it. You're kind of like spectating from afar. You're far away. There's enough distance between you and that situation where you are protected. You're not going to have to inhale that dust cloud, and you're sitting pretty much, okay? So for this month, Taurus, your energy is, I feel like it's a continuation almost of like the Aries energy. We have here the King of Crystals. This is the King of Pentacles. This is your energy. You're embodying this really proud, mighty, stable energy. Finances are going to be really good. And you've designed your life that way, where you don't need to worry about your financial future. Things have been worked at, built up over time. And so you're sitting on your resources and you're planning your next adventure. I do feel that, this concept about looking off into the distance to kind of dream about, conjure up, and trying to figure out where is the next progression for me. What is coming in store for me? What's my prospect looking like? What's in the future for me? I feel like change is really coming in, and the message drilling into this reading is change is very imminent. We have here the Wheel of Fortune, which is about change and possibilities. It's lying right on top of you. And the words associated with this King of Pentacles is courage and commitment, okay? And so I feel like you're kind of torn, okay? Kind of like, do I speak or do I keep quiet? Do I grab this new opportunity or do I speculate some more? Or do I just sit and kind of like behave as a bystander and see how things are going to unfold? So there's something that's being unfolded or unfurled or unraveling around you. And you're content just looking on, just to see what's going to happen, just to see that you need more information, or just to wait for the opportune moment. But I feel like it's coming in really very quickly. And it's something you've been feeling intuitively for quite some time. And yet you're committed to one situation. And I feel like that might be the only barrier preventing you from embracing this new change. So for some of you, this is a job situation where something in the distance, possibly further away physically, like a change of venue, a change of workplace atmosphere or workplace environment, something is further down in the distance or further out in the distance that's really beckoning you, really calling you. And you're not really sure whether or not you should go for it because you are committed elsewhere. So you could be in a contract for a certain amount of months before you can shift into a new job, and you want to ride out the contract. You could be in a like a lease, a housing situation, and you're looking for something new, but you're contractually obligated to that lease or to write out the terms of that agreement before you can shift elsewhere. Or I also feel a situation where it's family, okay? I want to move further away, but mom and dad are aging and they want my presence here. And I also feel family as in, I have a marriage contract here, but I really want to be elsewhere. So I feel like there's a lot that you're mulling over. And I definitely feel as well, you're pulled in two different directions in terms of, life direction, in terms of, do I stay here out of that sheer sense of commitment? Or do I see what other opportunities are available to me? Okay. So there's a lot to unpack here because I do sense this, this kind of like night and day type of energy, kind of like waffling, flip-flopping back and forth, playing out the scenarios in your mind, but in the waking, it's like in mulling over decisions, but the actions are not really being taken in the physical realm. Okay. I see as well a lot of juxtaposition in this spread. First of all, we have here the shadow and the light. Okay, so the shadow are things that are kind of like hidden from view, things that are not made aware to other people, things that haven't come into being yet. They exist in the realm of the mind or in the realm of the shadows. No one is really shining a spotlight on it just yet. And I feel that you're keeping a lot of things, either secrets, longings, desires, really close to your chest, trying to manifest them as best as you can without drawing attention to yourself. And then I also feel like this situation where, you know, the animal is sitting still, it's like wanting things to come to you, but not really getting out there and take the physical actions in order to move yourself towards it. And I do feel this is a love relationship here. We have as well the King of Cups. Okay, so this is like the epitome of an emotional connection that you have with someone, something that is very transformative. Somebody is bringing into you this sense of like wonder. And what's linked up with the shadow is the sun. And the sun is bringing things to light. It's like, it basically melts away the shadow, right? And so what's happening here, I feel, you're drawing somebody very, very close to you. And like I said, you have a really strong emotional connection with this person. I feel for many of you, you might have initiated contact with this person to let them know how you feel, to offer a message. And, you know, you guys are not like gushy people where you lay your feelings all on the table, take it or leave it, right? You're not one to do that. So I feel like, you know, there might have been communication, and the communication was very cordial, but it's not indicative of everything that you're feeling. Whatever you're feeling is really very strong. It's very passionate here with the Sun card. It's very exalted. It's almost like, you know, what you're feeling, you want to shout it from the rooftop, hence the lips, you know, shouting. I want to make it known. I want to tell this person everything that I've been bottling up. I want to, you know, express my authentic self and express the extent of my emotions. And yet you might have suppressed it. And you are very aware that this person has a major impact in your life, okay? I'm hearing somebody's name might be, you know, sunshine, might be like someone who's very buoyant and optimistic. This is not your energy. This is somebody who's very buoyant and optimistic. And with the hummingbird, they kind of flit around, you know, going from one place to the next. They might be a world traveler. They might have traveled a lot in their lifetime. They might have a lot of interesting tidbits of information that they'd like to share. They might be a great conversationalist. They might know a lot of things about a lot of things. And I feel like when you're around them, you feel very hopeful. You feel very pure and innocent. They might be very pure and innocent. And I just see this kind of like very buoyant person who's very lively, who's very hopeful, and whose presence in your life was very uplifting. Because with your energy, with the Hermit and the King of Crystals, this is somebody who keeps their distance, right? The Hermit. They look and admire from afar. You might be admiring this person from afar. You might be, you know, checking on their social media to see what this person's up to. But I feel like you keep a very detached and a very platonic air about you, almost as if passing off that they don't mean a lot to you. And I feel that you have really held back your feelings when you are interacting with this person. And you retreat back into the realm of the mind with this moon, the imagination and perception. And I also feel the moon is about intuition. It's about psychic abilities. It's about wisdom as well with this owl. And so I feel like this person is very aware, like intuitively and almost in a psychic way. They are aware of your feelings, but not only you hid it verbally, but you also hid it physically. Like you hid the feelings, you suppressed it, and you kind of crunch it down to the bottom so it doesn't see the light of day. But I also feel like the connection with this person is very strong. There is a very strong, I feel like, psychic and spiritual and emotional connection. It's not just passion and chemistry and fun and lightness, but I feel like, it's a very deep, possibly a really strong soulmate type of a connection. Because whatever you suppress, they're able to decipher. Whatever you don't say to them, they're able to hear it, in their psyche. So they're very, very in tune with you. Okay. I also feel as if there is a distance between the two of you, either emotional or otherwise, because I do feel like this person, they're able to read you, but I don't feel that you're able to read them. And so you might not feel like the feelings are reciprocal. You might not feel like they're on the same page. You might also feel like the weight of your emotions and your feelings are too much for you to handle. And you are afraid that they don't feel the same way. And so you kind of, push it down to the edge of your being because you don't want them to know the strength or just the sheer like impact of what you're feeling. So I'm hearing like the word impact, but like it's also packing down and then, impact. Something is impacted. It's packed down. It's like bursting at the seams, wanting to speak and verbalize something, but not being able to, not wanting to lose control, not wanting to lose control, not wanting to be, not wanting to express something when it's not reciprocated. So you're feeling very strongly, you're not able to verbalize it. You're not able to read the other person. You're not able to understand where they're coming from, how they feel about you, whether or not they are feeling the same way that you're feeling. So this is it's an uncomfortable place to be. In the meantime, though, I'm sensing that you're distracting yourself with, practical things that you're doing. I feel many of you are taking really good care of yourself physically. Okay. You're feeling vitality. You're feeling good, like just getting over ailments, feeling kind of like at the peak of your physical best, taking really good care of yourself, going to the gym, lifting weights, eating well, getting enough sleep and getting enough rest. Even though this emotional, I want to say sore spot is really front and center in your emotional life, you're doing other things to distract yourself because you feel like it's almost silly. Okay. It's silly for me to dwell on this. It's silly for me to, constantly think about and ruminate over this person about what could be. And I feel like at night you are thinking heavily about this person, about the possibilities that could be if the two of you had come together. And then also, wanting, like looking at them from afar, admiring them, but not really willing to go out of your way to, I'm hearing here, like saving face, not wanting to appear too demanding or too needy or, playing it cool. Okay, the smugness, like playing it cool, not wanting the other person to know how you really feel. So I'm getting here that for many of you, the way you might be looking at love and relationships and emotions, I feel like vulnerability is kind of like a double-edged sword for you. On the one hand, you want desperately to be vulnerable, but for whatever reason, you feel like being vulnerable leads you in a position where you might be overpowered by another person, right? And so what I feel is you might have a slightly unhealthy mindset when it comes to relationships, when it comes to, putting our walls down so that the other person can approach us. Because I feel like once you let your walls down, the other person is going to approach you. What they're feeling for you, I can assure you, is being reciprocated with this King of Cups. This is somebody that doesn't play games. This is somebody that is very sure about how they feel at all times. They can talk to you for hours about their feelings, and their feelings don't change. It doesn't fluctuate from one day to the next. It doesn't change. If you behave badly one day, they're not going to love you any less. If you act up, they're not going to love you any less. If you show your vulnerability, they're not going to use that against you. This is somebody who is, aware of human emotions. They're very emotionally intelligent. They can look at you and know whether or not you've had a bad day, whether or not you're grouchy, why you're grouchy, and they can say and do things to kind of like lift you out of it. So I feel like this is a person that has a very good read on you. But the way that you are right here with the shadow, you're kind of like in the dark. You're not really aware of what's approaching. And I also feel like you might take some type of perverse, liking to leaving somebody in the dark, not expressing the full extent of your emotions, not letting them know. And I do sense a lot of it has to do with, trust issues and things like that you're somewhat bringing into this situation. And I feel like it might not be fair for the partner that you're dealing with, because the relationship seems very cat and mouse, and it's not very on the surface. Does that make sense? So please be careful with this. If this resonates with you, and if you're dealing with this situation and you feel like being vulnerable leaves you at a disadvantage, I can assure you it does not. And I can assure you as well that the other person is looking your way, and I feel like they would come to you if you let your walls down, okay? So the time for us to experience that paradigm shift, to do things a little bit differently so that we can draw in healthier, higher functioning people into our lives. And for us to kind of like live in the light rather than the shadows, operating from our shadow self. We don't want to do that anymore. We want to be authentic, and we want to be true. And ultimately, we want to be free of our baggage that might prevent us from forming emotional connections with another person. Because what you have here is a really beautiful soul connection with another human being. And I feel like you're disallowing that to come into the picture. This card, the way I'm looking at it, is sort of like basking in the sunlight. Lizards and iguanas, they're cold-blooded, so they around noon you can see a lot of them just like sunbathing, right? So that's what I'm feeling here, this sunbathing right next to the sun. Once your feelings are exposed, or once you allow that to kind of come out into the open, I feel that you're going to get a basking in the sunlight moment where feelings are being returned and reciprocated. And you're not going to be in a state of, icy isolation or doom and gloom. You're going to experience a lot more happiness in your life, okay? I do feel for many of you, you are aware of this. This moon is all about intuition. It's like a sense of knowing what we need to do, but dragging our feet, right? A lot of us, especially fixed signs,